Hello. As you know, Morgan County High School loves honoring our veterans with our annual Veterans Day program. However, we are unable to do an in-person program this year, so we wanted to make sure we still showed our appreciation and our honor for our veterans, so we are making a virtual ceremony. Today, we honor all veterans, the brave fighting young men and women. All veterans have given something of themselves to this country, with some giving all by laying down their lives to protect the freedoms that we hold so dear. So on behalf of Morgan County High School staff and student body, we want you to know that we honor you, not just today, but every day. So please enjoy our Veterans Day virtual ceremony.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway, and saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
Good morning, students, staff, parents, and distinguished guests. Today we assemble to recognize all of those among us that have served in the great brotherhood and sisterhood we call the United States military. It is their service and sacrifice, no matter what branch of the military they served in, no matter what job path they followed, or the number of years that they served, that has helped to keep the United States of America safe and free. Today, among us, we have veterans from World War II, the Korean War, Persian Gulf, Operation Enduring Freedom, and Operation Freedom Centennial. November the 11th is a universally recognized day of celebration throughout the world. In Europe, it is commonly known as Armistice Day, commemorating the end of the Great War. In the United States, we commonly refer to it as Veterans Day. On November the 11th, at 11:11 a.m. of 1918, the Great War came to a conclusion. The Great War itself has many names. It has also been coined the War to End All Wars, and as our President Woodrow Wilson coined it, the war to make the world safe for democracy. At the conclusion of World War I, some 21 years later, we get the outbreak of the Second Great War of the 20th century. Thus, historians backed up and renamed the Great War World War I. On this day, November 11th, we honor every man and woman who's ever worn the uniform of our nation. Those who've selflessly secured America's promise throughout our history. That same history teaches us that security doesn't just happen. It demands effort, sacrifice, courage, and commitment. It requires generations of men and women willing to go distant lands to, as the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. says, defend countries they've never known and a people who they've never met. Today, we salute the service men and women and all veterans, and we keep in our thoughts and prayers the fallen, the missing, and those who right now are serving in harm's way. I would like to personally thank each and every one of you that has served this nation and those that continue to serve and have helped America stay safe and free. Thus, we know America can sleep peacefully at night because of your efforts and sacrifices. God bless you. God bless our veterans. And God bless the United States of America.
2 days past 18, he was waiting for the bus in his army green. Sat down in a booth cafe there, gave his order to a girl with a bow in her hair. He's a little shy, so she gave him a smile. Then he said, would you mind sitting down for a while and talking to me? I'm feeling a little low. She said, I'm off in an hour and I know where we can go. So they went down and they sat on the pier. He said, I bet you got a boyfriend, but I don't care. I got no one to send a letter to. Would you mind if I sent one back here to you? I cry, never gonna hold the hand of another guy too young for him. They told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again, never more to be alone. When the letter says the soldier's coming home. So the letters came from an army camp in California, then Vietnam, and he told her of his heart. It might be love and all of the things he was so scared of. He said, when it's getting kinda rough over here, I think of that day sitting down at the pier, and I close my eyes and see your pretty smile. Don't worry, but I won't be able to ride for a while.
This guitar is 51 years old. I was in the Army stationed in Germany. I was there from 1968 till 1970. So in 1969 I built this guitar from scratch, from whatever I could find. It was intended to be temporary, but it served well for myself and my comrades for entertainment when we had the time to do so. And 51 years later, it's still around. After serving in the Army, I've served 12 years in the National Guard. And this Veterans Day, we're remembering all veterans, men and women. The song I'm going to sing is the Ballad of the Green Beret. It mentions men, but we don't want to forget the women, because my sister and a niece also served. My brother served as well. My dad served, and the flag that you see flying behind me was on his coffin when he passed. So on this Veterans Day, let's all appreciate all of our veterans and what they've done for us. Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, fighting men of the Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 win the Green Beret. Trained to live off nature's land, trained in combat, hand to hand, trained to fight both night and day, courage strong, the Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 win the Green Beret. Back at home, a young wife waits. Her Green Beret has met his fate. He has died for those oppressed, leaving her his last request. Put silver wings on my son's chest, make him one of America's best. He'll be a man they'll test one day, have him win the Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 win the Green Beret.
Hi, my name is Jim Gazay,
And I'm Lisa Gazay.
and we're both United States Navy veterans. First, I'd like to thank the school for thinking of this. Under these circumstances with COVID-19, I know it's hard to do any kind of ceremonies, and especially when you're recognizing veterans, a lot of them in the older population and are at a higher risk. So I'd like to express my appreciation to the school system for still coming up with a way to recognize our veterans today. So Lisa, you want to go ahead and start.
Well, one of the things I'm often asked is, why did you join the military? And it wasn't a case of patriotic fervor. It was a case of no jobs being in my area. And I wasn't a very good student, and I sort of wandered into the military. To me, it started out as just a job. And my first duty station was in Iceland. I had joined to travel, so I chose at a station overseas, and I loved that part of it. When I started, I was a barber, and it's called a ship serviceman. You load soda machines, you do the laundry. It wasn't a glamorous job. And in Iceland, I cut hair. Well, you see my husband's beard. Iceland was the last place that the Navy allowed beards because we had to be able to wear a gas mask. This was during the Cold War when Russia and the U.S. were not exactly friendly. So in Iceland, sailors could keep their beards, and there were sailors that actually stayed on the island so they wouldn't have to shave. But then word came down that every beard had to go. So a gentleman came to my chair, and I'm shaving off his beard, and his family had never seen him. And he brought his wife, and he brought the 2 little kids, and I thought it was going to be a makeover moment. So I shaved him clean, and I spun him around to show his family. And this is Iceland, remember, where it's a blizzard outside most of the year. The little boy goes, "Where's my daddy?" and ran outside. The little girl started crying, and even the mom teared up. So I thought I've just killed a family. Anyway, I never learned his name. But in talking to him, he said that he was cross-rating or switching over to the Air Force, and he was going to be flying. He was in the Navy as an operations specialist, and he was switching fields. That's important later on. Anyway, I go about my business, but I remembered the upset family. And then 2 weeks later, a Soviet MiG buzzed our base, and a P-3 went up to look for stuff. And they didn't make it home. They went down. And it was then that I found out that gentleman was on that plane and died. And it always makes me tear up. But I wonder, did the little girl get over her fear and kiss her daddy goodbye? Or was she still afraid of him? And he was an operations specialist that gave his life to keep me, everyone on that base, and everybody in the United States safe during a dangerous time. And that was my aha moment. That was the moment it wasn't just a job or a way to travel the world. That was the moment giving service to my country had a purpose. And because he was an operations specialist, I decided I would take his place and become an operations specialist so I could protect his family. Well, they didn't let women in the field at the time. It's considered a combatant field, and I had to make a lot of noise and call a lot of people. But I'm proud to say that when I retired from the United States Navy, I was operations specialist, surface warfare qualified, chief redding, and I was one of only 12 at my rank in my field as a woman. I was the first to be trained to launch Tomahawk missiles, although I was blessed to never have to launch one. And I was the second to control helos in combat. That's my story. And I think it's important that the stories get remembered by the next generation.
Yeah, all of us have a connection or something that it triggered us to serve. You feel that call to duty. Lisa's, she had that moment. She went into the Navy, why she went in, and then she had that aha moment. What triggered me or what called me to duty was probably my family. My brother, he served in Vietnam, and I've told this story before about how at one point we thought his company, my mom was told his company, everybody had been killed in action. Mom was just worried to death. All of us, the whole community, was at our house that evening watching television. And a little kid, I'm sitting up there by in front of the television like many kids do today. But we were watching the news, and they were showing the thing in Vietnam where those men were their bodies were being recovered, and we were watching them carry stretchers out of the jungle and taking them over to helicopters. And as I was sitting there, one of the guys came walking across the screen, or two guys carrying a stretcher, and one of the guys was my brother. And I started yelling, "Yeah, there's Steve, there's Ronnie, there's my brother, he's alive." And so, that was a joyous occasion for us. But, also my first cousins, James and Charles, they served in Vietnam too. My other brothers, from the Gazette side of my family, they served in World War II. So I had that connection, and I felt drawn to go serve as well. And I joined the United States Navy. Of course, one of the great things about that was I met Lisa and met my future wife there as well. But something else I'd like to talk to you about veterans. George Washington once said, "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directionally proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation." And I'll have to say, since moving back here to Morgan County, the patriotism and how much our veterans are appreciated, I've never experienced anything like that till I returned home to Kentucky and we settled here. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about is connections. I had those connections with my family. Growing up, I got to hear stories from guys who were in World War II and Korea. And here in Morgan County, you have a lot of those connections to veterans here as well. You have a Congressional Medal of Honor winner, William Barber, his story in Korea and what he went through and how he earned that medal. You got guys like James Elam, who was at the Battle of the Bulge, Merle Nickel, who served in the South Pacific and told me stories about standing on the deck and watching the kamikaze pilots come down at the ships to try to attack them and kill them. There's all kinds of connections like that, and you still have living connections here as well. You got connections like Wallace Keaton. He served in Korea and Vietnam. Lynn Nickel, another Korean veteran. These are all people who still live here, veterans that you can go walk up to and say, "I thank them for their service." The problem that we're experiencing here in the U.S. with our veterans is there's a diminishing contact that we have with them because there's so few of them anymore. Yes, granted, we have approximately 18 million living veterans here in the United States. But if you go back and you look at those who are 75 years and older, 45% of those who are that age right now were veterans. If you look at my age group and Lisa's age group, the 55 to 64-year-old, approximately 15% of them are veterans. Now, you got young people in the 18 to 34 group, there's about 4% that has actually served their nation in the military and been to Iraq and Afghanistan and served in those wars, in Desert Storm. So I would encourage you all to get out and meet your veterans when all this is over and we have the chance to have the ceremonies again, to thank them for their service and try to make that connection to them.
God bless America. God bless America. Let that I love stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the valleys, from wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. From the mountains to the valleys, from the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet God bless America, and God bless our veterans.
Thank you.
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 Thank you.